Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the IRS 60, The Answer. Now, remember over there, either like my page, Jim Leahy, real estate agent, or go over and like attorney Stephen A. Leahy's page. And you're going to be able to access that podcast because it's a little bit more coverage. You get about an hour, hour and a half sometimes. If it's a good conversation, we get an hour and a half sometimes. If it's a really good conversation. Today we had a pretty good one. But listen, go on over there. You get to watch a podcast. Attorney Stephen Leahy, the man of the hour. You walked over. I was going to talk a little bit more, but
before I didn't want to waste too much time because I'm going to go get some water. Can I get you some water?
yes, you can.
Because I need,
remember, ladies and gentlemen,
I need water in order for me to.
and I'm going to explain to the people about what we're going to talk about today. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, remember, we hope that you are having a wonderful Memorial Day. We hope you had a good one there, but we hope you're having a great Father's Day weekend. Remember, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask on this portal. Type in your question. We will answer it during the Mr. Know-It-All segment, okay? We will answer your question. That way you don't have to call Attorney Stephen Leahy. Please do. You don't have to go on taxteam.com. It's going to be your hub to help fight the IRS, but please do. Won't hurt. But if you ask this question here, we'll get it answered for you. Or if we can't answer it this show, we'll answer it the next show, but your question will be answered. Don't let this go to waste. Don't let it go to waste at all, ladies and gentlemen. Because too many times the people sat there and put their head in the sand. Listen, I understand. I understand being a real estate agent. I get it. Working with people, trying to find homes, working with buyers. You're all gung-ho, ready to go, and then all of a sudden you start thinking about what it takes and what the process and the steps. I get it. But get it addressed. Get your problem addressed. And that's why Attorney Stephen Leahy is there for you. Open tax resolution, 312-664-6649. Ask the questions. They will be answered. Okay?
Where did I just see Joe Walsh?
That is how, I don't know.
I just saw him somewhere.
We hope you guys enjoy. Remember, we're going to have a lot of content-driven material coming your way today. We're going to be talking about North Korea, the whole thing that with Donald Trump going to North Korea. Quite amazing, if you ask me.
The IG report.
Quite amazing.
What about the IG report? You can talk about
the IG report. What is it? The
Inspector General about the FBI and the Justice Department. I'm scared. They scared me, Jim. I'm afraid.
Why are you afraid?
I'm afraid.
I heard there were two pretty high-ranking people within the FBI who had a conversation where they said, we'll stop him.
Yes. That was, and then there was the Peter, the Strzok and Lisa, whatever her name is, that they were having that affair. But there was two others, agents. They were identified as Agent 1 and Agent 5, and they were having a tete-a-tete or whatever that is, whatever it is. And but they had a lot of text messages going back and forth, same thing, saying very similar things. You know what I love about the you can read all these yourself and come up with a bias, and then they come up and they say, but there was no political bias. I mean, come on, really? Acknowledge the fact. I mean, I think it just looks like, and Joe Walsh was going on about this. He's like, well, what are you going to believe? Who else can do it then? If you said you wanted a investigation, they do an investigation and they find the same thing, and but I think he's wrong. I think that there should be, so you can go to a prosecutor, someone. How about like Mueller, who has prosecutorial powers, who bring this stuff up and never let it go, and even railroad people, which I think is happening here in this Mueller thing, and that's the whole thing. Jim and I were talking about this. If you're Hillary and all of them, don't worry. You don't have to worry about lying to the FBI. Nothing's going to happen. But if you're a Trumpster and you inadvertently say something that might not be true, they're going to run you out of town, and they're going to make you get counsel, and they're going to cost you millions of dollars, and they're going to make you pay. Doesn't make sense to me. My own opinion.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be an important show.
I'm trying to remember where I just saw Joe Walsh someplace.
Okay, we'll talk about it after the show at the local dram shop.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
I do know what that means. I know what the dram shop laws are. That's a tavern. That's a nice way to say tavern.
I use that because I had to get to... Because don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, that's our society now. We always just have to go get special certification. Here you go. Hey, you're a server, you need a license for that. I need a license to serve food?
Oh, I know where I saw Joe Walsh. Last Sunday, I went to an event and saw Doug Bennett, the 10th congressional district Republican nominee for Congress, and he had an event at the Briarwood Country Club on Deerfield Road, and I went there on last Sunday. Took my son Jake, and saw Joe and his lovely bride, and because they were hosting.
How was the event?
It was great. It wasn't as crowded as I had hoped it would be, but
now, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm
letting you guys know too that I am doing an open house this weekend because that is my job. I'm a realtor here in Chicago. Okay, I can represent you pretty much anywhere in Illinois. Give me a call. Now, again, I'm doing an open house tomorrow, 660 Prestwick Lane, Unit 207 in Wheeling, Illinois. Price of $225. If you have any questions regarding that condo unit, give me a call. 847-271-3695. I'm Jim Leahy with That Properties. 847-271-3695. Let's get you into that condo today. Beautiful views.
Ready for the show?
I am ready for the show. I got to move this over a little more. I'm noticing some things. What am I also like? This is that it?
This is why you don't do camera work.
I am doing We're setting it up for the show.
It's set.
That's what it should be. Let's do the show.
Pursuant to Internal Revenue Service guidance, be advised that any federal tax advice contained in this program is not intended to be used, and it cannot be used by any person or entity for the purpose of avoiding any tax penalties that may be imposed by the Internal Revenue Service or any other U.S. federal taxing authority or agency, or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any transaction or matter addressed in this show. The opinions expressed by the host and the guests are their own and may not be used as authoritative advice. Any use of this material without the written consent of the host is strictly prohibited.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy, on AM 560, The Answer. Tune in every week at 5 for an informative discussion about IRS obligations, credit card debt, mortgage default, collection activity, and how to resolve these legal issues using tax resolution, debt settlement, mortgage loan modification, foreclosure defense, and bankruptcy. Your host is Stephen Leahy, and the principal at Open Tax Resolutions and the law office of Stephen Leahy, PC. Stephen is the author of Deal with Your IRS Problems Today. IRS and debt issues are serious, but there is help. There are resolutions. So get ready and take notes during the IRS Radio Hour. And now, here's your host, Attorney Stephen Leahy.
Hello, Chicago taxpayers and all you YouTubers. We are coming to you from Studio C at AM 560 The Answer. This is the IRS Radio Hour.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Now remember, this show is sponsored by the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC, and Opum Tax Resolutions.
God bless you, Opum Tax Resolution.
Opum helps people solve IRS problems. They help people with audits and levies, liens and garnishments, collections, unfiled tax returns, and payroll tax issues. We also help people with mortgage foreclosures, loan modifications, bankruptcy, and other debt-related issues. Also, FBAR filings. I wanted to bring that up.
What the FBAR are you talking about?
What the FBAR are you talking about?
You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen?
That's
what I mean by that
videos.
is go to one of the
YouTube
videos.
I want to introduce our. Remember now, if you can visit us. My number is first. You can call me 312-664-6649. Again, that number is 312-664-6649. Had a call yesterday from someone from Indiana. I spent 18 minutes on the phone with her because she said, this is the best 18 minutes. I've been fighting this IRS stuff for years, and this is the best 18 minutes I got, the most information. And it turned out she didn't need me. So she didn't even have to hire me. So I spent 18 minutes talking to her. But I asked her to say something nice to me about me on Google. And you know what she said to me? She said, I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo. And I said, me too. So we had a conversation about that too. But anyway, you can also visit us on the web at chicagotaxteam.com. I want to introduce our technical producer, the secret behind the whole show, Deborah Schreiner.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, yes, I forget
Happy
it.
Father's Day. to you,
Because I think fathers includes anyone who has an impact, like someone who coaches a basketball team or a baseball team. They can be father figures, too.
They can be father figures, but I think if we draw, we can, I know then some would say, well, single mothers can be fathers. I don't know. But anyway, I also want to introduce my nephew, my co-host, my very good friend, my realtor, Jim Leahy.
He's more like a big kid, even though he's small. He's more like a big kid, but he loves to have a good time.
Very good, Deborah.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, Deborah Schreiner, best in the business. This is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
We were just talking about that. We were just talking about that Dennis Rodman. That's from Dennis Rodman, that video that I talked. Very good.
He got really emotional.
He did get really emotional.
We'll talk about that a little bit in the show.
Okay, we'll do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were talking about earlier with our YouTube channel. Go over there. You're able to watch former videos. It's like chicagotaxteam.com. There's going to be prior videos to address a situation that you might have. So go over, check out Stephen A. Leahy, the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC, on YouTube. Subscribe and watch some of those videos. Again, it's a great little tool to help get you back
and you
on
can watch
track
us live,
for financials. We do it regardless.
Okay.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. So hopefully you're having a wonderful Father's Day. I know Attorney Stephen Leahy's having a great one. I know you're kicking back and
My
enjoying.
wife has told me, I know it's Father's Day, but we've had such bad weather on the weekend. We got to do some yard work. I'm like, it's Father's Day. I want to do yard work. It's supposed to be 100 degrees too. So, but I guess I'm someone's father, so I have to do yard work. So
the news roundup.
I'm being shut up. So, review and comment on the news.
Review and comment on the yard work.
That's terrible.
I'm not going to review nor comment on it. Anyway. We did talk about this Dennis Rodman thing because it was a very emotional and kind of changed my views of Dennis Rodman a little bit.
Wasn't it interesting that Dennis Rodman was really the only person I saw praising Donald Trump for what he had done in building some kind of relationship with North Korea?
He did that interview with the MAGA hat on, and so
Here's the thing.
This is kind of big for Trump, though. I don't know if Dennis Rodman has the followers that say Kanye West does. I think someone told me he had 40 million Twitter followers.
A lot of those are fake.
Well, whatever. I'm just telling you what someone told me. I don't know.
That's just how
he still has a lot. Okay, is it a lot? Does he have a lot? Does he have more than 10?
Whatever.
I got 10. I might have 15.
Well, what do you guys think of how the summit went?
I thought it went.
I think it went fine. I think it's amazing that they sat down and talked. But here's the thing: I don't want to talk about Dennis Rodman or then talk about also Kanye West. These are kooks. They're insane.
My point with that
I know what your point is.
What is my point? Tell me my point.
Okay, your point is it's quite amazing that that this guy was a pivotal player in
No,
getting.
that wasn't
what is
my
your
point.
point then?
My point was that Donald Trump is playing this game in order to get black voters, and it's driving the left crazy. Okay, and it has worked a little bit. Will it work? I don't know, but I think it's kind of like going to Korea.
I know that's
At
why
least
they went
he's
after.
trying.
I know that's why they went after Kanye
Yes.
after saying, "Be like,
Yes.
don't do this."
Yes, and trying to ostracize him. You can't. And then, of course, he was saying, they want me to stay on the plantation, and that's what he was saying. And at least, hey, think for yourself. And that was Trump before the election. Hey, what do you got to lose? Try. Now, I've read articles that say, well, this is what we got to lose. We got this, and I get that. But it's kind of like Korea. At least he's trying. Try to make a change. And someone said, well, what about all this? You're not bringing up all of these humanitarian rights. He says, I'm trying to stop a nuclear war. I mean, that's a pretty big humanitarian thing right there. So in that sense, I agree with him. At least you got to try to do something. In the meantime, they're not flying missiles around, right? They're not They're not trying to do that.
To stay away from all-out war is crucial.
I agree.
To be away from
and when you put it in
all-out
that,
nuclear war, I mean, it's very huge. Just
when you put it in that way, and one thing that Donald Trump did say is, he said, you're talking about 10 million people. That's a lot at stake here. There's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this either, but they have been going around about in 1999 his interviews about Korea from 1999, saying very much the same thing he's saying now. And he was saying it in 1999, so he hasn't really changed. His views haven't changed on this. He's not doing it for political purposes.
No.
All politicians do things for. Donald Trump's not a politician. Well, yeah, he is. He ran for president.
He turned into a politician.
He's a politician.
Yeah,
that's what he
how
is.
it is.
But hey, but I thought it was. Is it? And one other good thing I think he said, it's not a success unless he stops the nuclear proliferation. Right? Then it's a success. So right now you can't say it's a success.
No, but having them sit down and shake hands is a pivotal part.
I agree.
It's a pivotal moment.
You got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah, it's very. I mean, here's
now they're
the
talking
thing.
about him coming to America.
I know, but what am I to say? You're starting to pray. Oh, hey, how's it doing, Mister? You're still a brutal, ruthless dictator. That's an evil person.
But you got to stop.
I get it.
He's got the power to kill really millions of people.
I do. I know, but
which is why they went after the nuclear weapon. Right.
Yeah, because to
give them negotiating power, and it's worked. Okay, that's why we tried to stop it, and Clinton didn't. Well, let's not get into.
I know, because we can get a whole history lesson here. We have a great show lined up for you guys.
We do have
a very content-driven show today. I'm cutting you off a little early because I do want you to explain what we're going to be talking about in the blog segment.
I'm going to talk about appeals, because when you don't like the decision, sometimes you get revenue officers or some others on the IRS team who do things that they shouldn't do and you don't agree with. There's ways to appeal it to a higher cause, and I'm going to talk about that.
Well, that's great. And then we're going to be doing the Mr. Know-It-All segment where you're going to be talking about a question that came into your office.
I am going to talk about a question, and I don't have it here in front of me, but we'll talk about it.
Oh, because you forgot your computer.
I did forget.
Don't worry, you're using a pad, so you got it. I do apologize. I don't mean to bring that up.
No,
also, too, we want to make sure that you guys,
facts
fathers,
are facts. Facts are facts, Jim.
That's right. That's that they are. We hope all the fathers out there are having a good Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to you. Remember, I am going to be doing. I just did a open house again. If you guys are interested, 660 Prestwick Lane, Unit 207. Give me a call in Wheeling. It's a beautiful condo. Give me a call 847-271-3695. And if you have IRS problems, call Opum Tax Resolutions 312-664-6649. Visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Also, go to YouTube, like the Law Office of Stephen A. Leahy PC. Subscribe and enjoy the videos. It's great content-driven material. Now, I said a lot. Let our sponsors talk a little bit, and come on back here on AM 560.
The Answer.
I am sorry about that. I ran out a little bit of time to talk about something.
I don't care.
So we do hope that you guys are enjoying out there. Remember, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay? Remember, you're not going to get your question answered if you don't ask. If you just sit there idly by, the problem's going to get worse and worse. It's going to fester and fester, become an open wound.
Fester and fester, like Uncle Fester. Okay, so what else I wanted to talk? I know a question I wanted to ask, Jim. And I know you had a question about real estate, if you wanted to talk about real estate.
Of course.
And some sort of
legal
for Mr. Know-It-All.
As you know, Attorney Stephen Leahy, that I'm not allowed to give legal advice.
I'm not asking you for legal advice.
Of course.
That's my job. I give the legal advice.
I know.
So should we could talk about short sales. We could talk about, what else could we talk about?
Well, I just got in a conversation with somebody about maybe your appraisal didn't work out for you, requesting other appraisals coming on out. For example, I have a friend of mine who thinks his home is unjustly appraised to fit a higher tax bracket. Of course, as everybody else.
Well, he's going to talk about appealing his taxes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
That's not something I do. We did have someone on the show that does that, the tax appeal, and but we could talk about where that comes from. That's not something that I really help people do.
But this is and again, this is something that I'm talking about, just like your blog, Sam. You talk about something that's coming in the office is something that I've dealt with, and it's funny.
But is that someone trying to sell the house, or is that someone?
Yes.
And they're complaining about the taxes?
Well, it just came up in conversation because they are paying more in taxes. And for example, I have another person I'm talking with that
taxes stink.
That is their home is appraised for a certain price, but I'll tell you what, they're not gonna
get that.
That shouldn't be the appraisal price. Now,
is that too high or too low?
Too high.
Okay, so I have a house. I have a house that I representing the seller in Lincolnshire in a short sale, and they had the appraisal come in, and it's way off base. Way off base. Mm-hmm. She's shown the house to more than 50 people, and they've gotten 8 or 9 or 10 offers, and the bank has rejected each and every one of them.
Yeah, because I have actually a great picture on my, I don't know if you saw it's on my real estate page. I'll show you right this second. Oh, it's great because this is so true. And you working with real estate now, I don't mean to cut you guys off because you can't see this, but this is Attorney Stephen Lay. He'll think this is pretty funny. But this is so true. Real estate life, negotiations, inspections, appraisal. Everything can work out, and this is why it's so great. This is why it's so important to have representation because everything can start working for you. And
so, what kind of a question can we formulate for appraisals? You know, is there something I can do about appraisal? Because what happens when you try to refi, right? Mm-hmm. You try, and who does the appraisal?
Well, the bank send out
the bank, the guy that's giving you the money. So there used to be a time when you hired your own appraisal. Of course, that's what gave us this rise to all these problems that we're having. Yeah. And they stopped that. You know, now they're very careful about sending out appraisals.
They're off by how much? High or low?
Yeah. Well, it's got to be high because if it's low, they would take it because they'd be overbidding.
That's way too,
right. So if they're overbidding, that's great. But when they come up with some number that's just not.
Yeah, I know. And then they, you know what the thing is, the appraiser's word they use is law too, because you could come in with and my job as a real estate agent, when you're going through that inspection process and you start in the appraisal process, I'm supposed to show my comps. You know, not supposed to, but it's kind of like, hey, you know, just. I understand you did your homework, but here's my appraisal. Here are my comparables to show this is why this price was this price.
Well, how we came up with the price.
How we came up with the price, and you know, you're just at that point. Basically, think of it as like putting your. Have you ever seen the movie Major League?
I have seen it. Yes.
It's like pouring the rum for Jobu. Okay. The guy who does the voodoo. Jobu, don't drink it.
Okay, well,
here you go, please. Let me hit today.
Let's do the next segment.
It's so true.
It is so true. So we'll ask about appraisals.
How many times do you see it yourself?
What's that?
Where you have real estate agents come out and they think that they start giving legal advice. I mean, have you dealt with that yourself?
All the time. You know, this happens a lot in like credit counseling and stuff like that, where they start telling me drives you crazy.
I'm sure.
And then because they know that they're wrong, that they shouldn't be doing that, and then they deny. I didn't tell them that. I never said that. Well, yeah, you did.
Well, that's why the one thing that I try to practice. Well, I do practice very close. I don't. I always say
I'm a realtor.
I'm not allowed to give legal opinions.
Okay, so now very good. I had some people come to me about getting into business for themselves, and they had somebody that wanted to invest in their company, and they wanted me to write up an agreement for them. And I said, well, I can do that, but you, sir. And this was a medical thing. When he was a doctor, I said, but you, sir, should get another attorney to represent you. I can't represent you and them in the same agreement. I mean, you can send.
Can you not in the state of Illinois?
I can. If they sign a waiver.
It's like dual agency here in Illinois.
Yes, I can. You can. I got to have you sign a waiver and be upfront with you. But to be honest with you, you shouldn't do that.
No.
Because I can't represent both of you.
I've actually made it a point myself that I don't want to do dual agency. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good business.
You're just asking for trouble.
It is
because they will come after you as a conflict.
Listen, I'm a human being. This is my job. You know, everybody goes,
I want to make money.
Obviously, I want to make money. But here's the thing: it's too much of a problem. I'm not going to do that.
Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to avoid it entirely, right? And so, no money. And I tell people this all the time. No, like for instance, if they will try to do something and it might be criminal, Okay, no money is worth getting yourself involved in some criminal action where you have to defend yourself and maybe go to prison. Okay, so don't do it. That's all. You might make a ton of money. Well, that's, the money isn't worth your freedom.
I actually had a client I was working with, and I told him about, the ins and outs of buying a home, and I explained about, earnest money, and they go, well, I don't know, because, they're first-time home buyers, and they didn't know anything about it. And I was like, listen, if you have any questions regarding the legality of it, please consult an attorney. I'm not allowed to do that. I could give you a personal opinion, but I'm not going to do that. Please consult an attorney when you have any questions regarding that. Go to them. They're going to give you all the advice you need.
And I don't want to give you conflicting advice.
Exactly. I don't want to put myself in that situation.
Maybe that's a good question about for our Mr. Know-it-all.
What? How would we question?
Dual agencies and
But first you have the blog segment.
But do I need an attorney? Yes. Do I need an attorney to represent me in a real estate contract and a real estate deal? Mm-hmm. Wait, let's do the show. Let's do this next segment.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us today on this Father's Day.
That's right.
That's right. And I'm joined here today with Deborah Schreiner, Jim Leahy, and myself. And we all have something in common. We all have fathers.
That's right.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
I wanted to say something else about Father's Day, but it's important, and I'm glad that we recognize that fathers. You were talking about Mother's Day is more important than Father's Day.
Way more.
It just is. Fathers rather not even celebrate it.
Mothers want to get the family together. Please, let's go out and let's enjoy it. And being in the restaurant business, that's the busiest day of the year. Father's Day.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone. Let me grow.
Leave me alone. Okay.
Leave me alone.
You can come by the house if you want, but I ain't going over there. Okay. Yeah, so it's Father's Day. I don't have to do it.
I want to be with my family,
Let's
of course.
Do the next segment.
Yeah, but short bursts. It's the blog segment. The blog. The blog. It's the blog segment, ladies and gentlemen, and today we have great content-driven material. I keep trying to push it because, remember, sometimes we're not going to be able to answer your question. I don't mean sometimes. Most of the time.
Your particular question,
because first off, you haven't asked it, because we also do a live streaming of this show on Fridays on YouTube, and you can go to the law office of Stephen A. Leahy to see that.
Also, you guys aren't mind readers.
No.
So if someone has a question,
Karnak the Magnificent.
The best thing for them to do is to give Stephen a call.
That's right. 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Okay, she knows. Do you know who he is? Karnak the Magnificent.
Is he from Bozo?
No,
from Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson played Karnak the Magnificent.
This is way before my time.
Okay,
I'm
so
only 28 years
as we
old,
know,
right?
I know. Sometimes you amaze me at what you do know. Though,
I do know a lot,
stuff.
but that I do not know.
Sometimes it does amaze me.
I never watched Johnny
But
Carson.
anyway, I want to talk about, as I always do in this segment, I talk about what's going on in my office. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the
sink is a little leaky.
Appeals. I have had a leaky sink, but anyway, I'm gonna talk about appeals, because sometimes when a revenue officer or a ACS person, an agent, makes a decision about you, they're wrong. Like, for instance, they want to start taking things away from you. They want to issue a wage levy, and you've been trying to stop them from doing a wage levy, and they go ahead and do it anyway. Now, what do? You know, yes. Now, because now you have some really limited options. Okay, but there are some options. First, I had this just this last week. Somebody hired me after the IRS started levying him. Okay, and their revenue officer was one mean person, And that when they were levying them, after he came to see me, we tried to stop it. They wouldn't. They had stopped some of the levies before he came to see me, and I tried to so there's wage levies, and that's when they start garnishing your wages, and then they can levy your bank account. So they go after your bank account and take all the money out of your bank account. Now, when that happens, you could contact the revenue officer and try to get them to release those levies, and they can do that. It takes 21 days before the bank is supposed to send the money from your bank account after they receive the levy back to the IRS. And so you have a little bit of time to try to work with your revenue officer in order for them to release the levies. Now, they're supposed to release the levies if you can show a hardship. And if you can show a hardship and you think you did show a hardship and they still won't release the levy, now you're caught. What do you do? Okay, so as I've mentioned, one thing you can do is you can file for protection under the bankruptcy laws. I think a lot of times I've mentioned on this show that there's only one thing in our country that's more powerful than the IRS, and that's the federal court system. And bankruptcy is part of the federal court system. Now, bankruptcy has a lot of bad things going on it
scares people away.
Well, sometimes while it will stop the levy, it'll do a whole bunch of other bad things for you that you don't want to happen. And so you don't really want to pull that card out unless you really have to do that. And sometimes you really do have to do it, but not always. And then there's another one. It's called a cap. It's called a cap appeal, and that's when there's an appeals office. So there's a process. So you don't like what's going on with your revenue officer. Well, then you can ask to talk to their supervisor. Okay, so. And this, you have to do this before you can go on to appeal. So you don't like what the revenue officer is doing. Say, hey, I'd like to talk to your supervisor. I'd like to talk to them about this. Maybe maybe they can help me and you can't. And so they'll give you their name and you can contact them. Now, when you try to get their supervisor, they're supposed to have 2 days before to get back to you. They're not supposed to ignore you. Now, sometimes they do ignore you. And this is what happens. You try to call your revenue officer sometimes, and they don't answer the phone.
Yeah,
and
likely story.
Yeah, and they're garnishing your wages, and you're trying to work with them, and they're not answering your phone. And what do I do now?
Yep.
Okay, so I go around and I try to find who their supervisor is, and I call their supervisor, and then I talk to their supervisor. Well, some supervisors are really easy to work with, and they want to help and they want to try to solve the problem, but some aren't. Some are part of the problem. Some are so hung up on the power that they have that they don't really care. Well, the guy owes money, doesn't he? Yes. Well, that's enough for us. He owes money. We're going to collect. That's my job. I'm going to collect it. I'm going to take it. Like, wait a minute. I had one tell me this last week. We're not in for sad stories. I said, actually, sir, you are supposed to listen to sad stories. It's called a hardship. And in the code and in the manual, it talks about hardships. And if I could prove a hardship, you're supposed to release the levy.
Yes.
Okay. So. And I don't get satisfaction. So what can I do now? Well, now I can do a collection appeals program, a CAP. It's called a collection appeals.
Is it a CAP program or is it just called a CAP?
They call it a CAP, C-A-P. It's an acronym for collection appeals program. And a lot of stuff with the IRS takes forever. So here's what happens.
No, come on, a government entity
and
dragging its feet.
And that's what we're afraid of. So I'm working with the revenue officer. When you propose an installment agreement, nothing's supposed to happen. They're not supposed to do any more collections. They're supposed to work on this. They can either deny your request for an installment agreement, but there's a process in which they're supposed to do this. There is a shortcut. Anyway, I'm going to cut to the chase. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. But what happened is they went ahead and levied my client, even though we had an installment agreement in. They're not supposed to do that. Bomb. So I went to the as I mentioned, I went to the manager. The manager says, I don't care. That's our job. We're going to collect. So now what do you do? So now I go, my client's very afraid now because now his paycheck's going to be levied and it's going to be a couple of days. So I said, well, I'm going to do a CAP appeal. You can file bankruptcy or you can do this CAP appeal. Now, by the rules, once I send in this form that asks for a CAP appeal in writing, then the revenue officer has 2 days to forward it to the CAP unit. Okay, and then the CAP unit is supposed to have 2 days in order to get back to me. Okay, so this was on Wednesday. I send out they denied us. I put it in writing. I sent it to the revenue officer. The revenue officer, I kept calling. She wouldn't call me back. She finally called me back. She said, yes, I forwarded it to the cap unit, and then the cap unit called me and set up an appointment for Monday. So that's how fast it happened. It can happen that fast. It's supposed to happen that fast.
When you have representation.
Exactly, because they won't listen to you.
That's been the theme.
And you don't even know, as a taxpayer, you don't know the process here, how to even get in front of a cap. Now, there's other appeals too. There's what they call the collection due process appeals, and there's an equivalency hearing. So there's other appeals. So just because you don't like your revenue officer doesn't mean you have to accept what they're telling you. There's ways to get past them, and there's a lot of reasons why you want to get past them, right? Because if they've got it in for you, and you feel like they've got it in for you, the best thing is get it out of their hands, get it to somebody else. One more thing I'm gonna think is very important. Revenue officers our incentive is to collect as much money as possible. That's how they're judged. Their job is judged. Appeals are judged by how many cases they close. See the difference? Okay, so it's a big difference.
This is
and
what
it has
we're
an
talking
effect
about.
on this.
This is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Getting the proper representation that knows that knows the ins and outs of your particular situation. That's why it's so important to call open tax resolutions. Not regular people won't know that ins and outs.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people that say that they don't know this.
They really don't. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, remember, open tax resolution there for you. Get the representation you need. 312-664-6649 to visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Go to the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC, on YouTube so you're able to watch the videos, because this is going to be one of our content-driven episodes. And ladies and gentlemen, listen to our show every Sunday at 5. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, open tax resolutions are for you. Now, we're going to get a word from our sponsors and come right back here on AM 560, The Answer. Sometimes it amazes me how I can get caught up. I didn't mean to get caught up there, but because what you were saying is just so important that people don't realize. When it comes down, I get it.
I wanted to talk about other things too, but I get caught up too.
I know, but
I'm talking about this particular.
People get caught up in the nitty gritty. I get it.
I had this.
You look at the price, you look at everything, go, oh my gosh, why am I going to pay so much? I could do this myself.
So here,
it's the same. I'm reading this for house flippers on New York Times. Oh, look, I could buy and sell a house and flip it. It's not as easy as real life.
It's dangerous.
Or no, it's not as easy as TV.
No, it's dangerous. It's because it's very risky. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're risking.
Oh, well, I could buy this home and flip it. Nobody really realizes when you sit down and your agent goes over with you and they go over, here's the transaction cost. Here's everything that's going to cost.
And then you find out the foundation isn't right. And then you find out that the water line breaks. And then you find out the sewer line is bad. And then all of these costs come up and you're never going to be able to reach it.
And the next thing you know, you're calling your attorney going,
I need to file bankruptcy.
God.
Because that's the only other way out. Okay, and I help people do this sometimes. But anyway, I wanted to mention that about this. I had this client, and this is what I got to tell people. The client is very nervous, okay, because his wages are being garnished, and I keep telling him, no, we got to do this appeal. We need to be and he calls the revenue officer isn't answering my phone call, and every morning he's calling me saying, hey, what's going on? And I don't like to take that call to tell him, I don't know, the guy's not talking to me, they're not answering my phone calls. That's not the phone call I want to make. I don't want to talk to somebody about that, but I have to face it and talk to him. There's this book that I read. From Brian Tracy. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's got a book. It's called Eat the Frog. Okay, what that means is do the thing you hate to do first. Do that first. I don't want to call my clients and give them bad news. Okay, I don't want to. I want to give them all, hey, don't worry, we saved your money. Everything's great. But that's not always the news, and you need it, and that's why I think a lot of lawyers don't answer phone calls, right? Because they don't want to give you bad news, and so they won't even answer your phone call. And say, I always answer your phone call because I'll eat the frog. I have to tell you what's going on.
Of course.
And I told him this.
I do too.
I had this discussion with him because I was telling him, I don't want to tell you this. I'd like to tell you, hey, I stopped everything. Everything's going to be great. But that's not the story here.
I had a person come into my
office. But I'm fighting the battle, and that's the thing.
I had a person come into my office. I do the same. I had a person come to my office and they want to list $1 million plus property, and they say, hey, come on over. I take a look and go on a tour, and he goes, I just don't think the market's right around here, and I don't know if I should list or if I should or if I should rent. I just don't know. And I went, okay, well, let me take a look into it, see where we come to after we do a comparative market analysis and see what the price point the market's dictating, and then we'll go from there. I did the comparative market analysis for him. Actually, he was a very sensible person. Understood the market very well. And not everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. I ended up telling him, and again, ladies and gentlemen, mind you, the payout for something like that would have been phenomenal, but it doesn't matter. I told him the smart idea, it does not make sense to sell it this time because this is how he got his home. He rented to buy.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Are we going to do a Trump segment? Is that what we're going to do?
Yeah, because don't worry, Stormy Daniels is only doing one show at the Admiral Theater.
Oh, I read that, and she was supposed to be there.
Did you read what he said?
I didn't see what he said, no.
She wanted to renegotiate her contract because she can get more money now. Admiral owner Sam Cicola told the Tribune this morning, we cannot deal with a person who's irresponsible and greedy.
She walked out last night. She was supposed to sign autographs, and she didn't sign any autographs. They paid her to sit there and sign autographs. She did their show. They said it was a very bad show. She wasn't very involved in it. And then she stormed out and left. And she was supposed to be there all weekend.
Coachella wasn't exactly impressed with the Daniels show. Part of her Make America.
Keep that up. Let's talk about that on the show. Let's do the show.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Hey, we have returned. This is the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Here with Deborah Schreiner, Jim Leahy. It's a happy Father's Day for all of us. What better Father's Day gift than to sit down, have a nice cold beer, barbecue yourself some, and listen to the IRS Radio Hour.
And talk about
because I know that's what I'm going to do.
Tax issues.
Tax issues. But today, this segment, we're not going to talk about tax issues. We're going to talk about something else.
We're talking about Trump.
Take a look at my Twitter account.
President Trump.
Sort of amazing.
We're talking about Trump.
America first.
President Trump.
Together, we will make America great again. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
And God bless America.
And this story's for you, fathers out there. It's gonna say, don't worry. All the dads out there who...
This is the God Bless America tour.
It's not the God Bless. It's called something else, but I'm not going to say it.
I thought that's what it was called.
No, it's called something else.
The Stormy Daniels. Every year, for the last couple of weeks when we were coming here...
You ruined my punch.
Okay,
sorry. Ruined everything that I had set up.
Go ahead, do it. I'm sorry, do it.
It was for all the fathers out there who had their plans at the Admiral this weekend.
Okay. So a lot of people had. I heard they were busting them in from the old folks' home.
They did.
I know they did.
That's unbelievable.
So I read a story this morning. That again, as we're driving here, we're out here at Studio C at AM 560. The Answer. And there's a big billboard here that's been promoting Stormy Daniels at the Admiral Theater. And so she was at the Admiral Theater last night. And I'm reading a story this morning about that she walked out without signing autographs.
Without signing autographs,
and they had to give money back. Yeah. Now I didn't know that. That is so Stormy Daniels.
No. Here's this. She wanted to renegotiate her contract because she could get more money now. Admiral owner Sam Cicola told the Tribune via email on Friday morning. This is from the Chicago Tribune. We cannot deal with the person who's irresponsible and greedy. You deal with
No, strippers generally aren't greedy. They do what we do. They do what I tell them to do. Hey. But anyway, what I mean is, so Stormy Daniels is that's what she did to Donald Trump. They said, here's $130,000. Keep your mouth shut. And she said, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut. Then he's elected. He said, you mean I can get more money if I don't keep my mouth shut? Okay, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut anymore. I want more money. And they said, no, I'm not going to give you more money.
She walked out on 75 guests who paid $20 and were patiently waiting to take pictures with her. They were given refunds. Don't worry.
They were given refunds. In the story, they talk about.
And he goes, I thought her show was nothing to write on about.
She was wearing.
Is that a Chicago she didn't do a good job.
She had a red, white, and blue outfit on. Yeah. And I thought it was "Make America Great Again." I thought that was.
We wanted to get a photo with her. Said Sean Buck, a Daniels fan who was hoping to share the photo with his Republican aunt. Oh, I'm disappointed.
It ain't "Make America."
No, it's
great.
Not. It's called something else.
Yes,
and we're not going to talk about it.
I know.
Yeah, change it. Geez, you do not follow cues.
Well, I was looking. I knew it was.
Don't worry about it.
I thought it was "Make America Great."
Go. Let's do it. Ooh.
But anyway, she's something. Anyway, it shouldn't surprise anybody that she's not going to try to be bound by some contract that she signed, because that's what the whole thing is about. About her not. She's saying that's not. I could make more money now. And I wonder how long ago they signed her to do that. That now she can make more. I mean, she's worth more now than she was 4 months ago.
It's sad that we have to talk about this during the Donald Trump segment, but we thought it's funny because it's Father's Day.
Because there's so much more going on.
There's so much more.
I know.
There's so much great things that are happening.
FBI report, and there's so much more.
The FBI isn't great, but I'm just saying.
But this is funny.
This is just funny. We wanted to make it because all the dads are sitting there. We understand. There's more to talk about Donald Trump.
In the article, they did talk about that there were old folk. They had the old folks home. They said a lot of first-time, a lot of people who don't go to strip clubs normally came out to see Stormy Daniels, and were disappointed because she didn't sign the autograph, so they wanted to take pictures with her. So kind of funny.
Yay!
A lot of them were Donald Trump.
Here's a quarter.
They're Donald Trump haters, right? They just, and it's something that they wanted to see someone that they were in the quote. She's gonna bring down the president. That's why we came out to see her, because
they're gonna try to bring him down with the immigration too, with the kids too, which ends up being. We could have talked.
And his foundation got sued.
I know.
Now the lefty
There's
Democrats.
So much we could talk about. This is such a short segment.
I know.
We would love to. We're gonna actually talk about it on our YouTube channel if you guys want to go over there and watch the video after. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we record Friday show every Sunday, so this is a previous video you guys are going to be watching. So again, go there and watch. You can ask a question for live every Friday, and that way we can answer it for you. Because again, we record Friday show every Sunday.
Finish the show at YouTube. Go to YouTube and watch it.
That's right. We're going to talk a little bit about it there. But ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're having a wonderful Father's Day. It's time to sit with your dads, sit with your uncles, sit with anybody who's a father, and go, hey, thanks, man.
Thanks, man. That's right. Make
and the
America
dads
great
are
again.
saying, leave me alone.
That's right. Leave me alone. Give me another beer and leave me alone.
Leave me alone. And if they don't drink, be like, give me a iced tea or a Arnold Palmer and leave me alone. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, remember, Open Tax Resolution is there for you. 312-664-6649 to visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, it's pivotal to get your question answered. And we're going to be talking about that next segment with the Mr. Know-It-All, okay? So stay tuned here on AM 560.
The answer.
I know we took away so much from there.
I know. Kelly and Dave Thompson said that they decided to see the show at the spur of the moment. Kelly Thompson said she was happy to support a woman standing up against Trump. I love looking around at the crowd and seeing women who could be my grandma. She said they're at the Stormy Daniels strip club.
Oh, there were women there
from
the retirement home?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think she's a hero, said Admiral Resident.
Isn't that kind of ironic, though, that it's mostly Trump supporters?
No.
Who were at her thing?
That's what, according to this, there's people that don't like Trump that are at the thing.
Oh.
Although they said there was the front row was full of people with MAGA hats on.
I wouldn't be surprised people would go and try and heckle her.
No, but they didn't. It was sold out at the Admiral. The first one was sold out. But then this is the whole thing that's going on with her and Trump. She wants more money. You signed a contract. Now this poor guy's got nothing but young. Oh, I'm not going to talk about that. Let's not do that. Okay. Anyway, it's just the Admiral Theater.
What are you doing for the Mr. Know-It-All segment?
The Admiral Theater's been there forever. I've never been there myself. I drove by it many times.
You know, we could have talked about again.
There's a great Cuban restaurant right by there.
Okay,
called,
let's get on track. This is what we were telling people about. We could have talked so much more about Donald Trump and all the stuff that he's doing. We wanted to talk a little bit more about North Korea and his negotiation style. We wanted to talk more about Donald Trump when it comes to people jumping on him about the immigration
kids.
and the kids.
Oh, yeah.
All right? There's so much we got to talk about. Again, we wanted to make it more friendly for the fathers out there because it's more of a lighthearted kind of holiday. But they're jumping on him unjustly.
I think it's
it's an unjustly jump.
I think it's an unjust characterization that somehow fathers are interested in Stormy Daniels at the strip club. But that's my take. We're going to talk about. You're going to.
So we're not going to talk about it, and the people we told them to come and watch the video. We're not going to talk about what we were going to.
What
talk
would you
about.
like to talk about?
Again, that's what I'm saying.
That's what you mentioned. All those things.
Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. You know, with Donald Trump and getting accused, having the reporter come up and yell at him, say, "You know, are you going to do anything about?"
They did that to Sanders.
Yeah.
You know,
and actually, if you watch the videos, they're like, "Listen, stop, hold on. You're first off, you're grossly out of turn, and second off, we'll address that." That's what Donald Trump did, standing outside of.
She's just a spokesperson. They say, "Don't you have any empathy?" Like she's supposed to take a position. She's just a spokesperson. She doesn't make any of these rules. She has no control over what goes on in immigration law. So for them to try to dress her down because of they don't like the president's position is just ridiculous in my mind. They never did that to any of these other spokespeople. They always supported them because
I know,
because they were all married to somebody.
Nobody got on. How about the past 3 presidents that have pushed this kind of stuff?
I know.
You're going to get on them?
No,
it's Donald Trump's fault.
There was a great interview with Dianne Feinstein because she was coming out about how this is evil. Luis Gutierrez comes out about how this is all evil. But Dianne Feinstein, this is, as you mentioned, happening in her own backyard. They said, well, that picture you were referring to, that picture was taken during the Obama administration. So this was happening and she said, well, the difference, he said, what's the difference now? She said, the difference now is I know about it. I didn't know about it then. And it's like, shame on you for not knowing about it then. If you're so against this and you think it's so evil, why didn't you know about it when it was happening 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Because you weren't interested in it. You didn't want to bring it up then because it might hurt your side. But whenever you can find anything for whatever reason to hurt the Donald Trump side, well, then you're going to bring it up and make a big deal out of something that's not a big deal.
Exactly.
As you say, when
it's under Dianne Feinstein, it's under your nose.
When you get arrested and you go to jail, they take you away from your children. They take your children away from you because that's what happens. You go to jail. Okay?
They don't
you
put
can't
the children in jail.
That's right. You can't put the children in jail.
You know what? But when it's a situation where the kids they can't leave the kids alone. There's no family. Of course, they put them in some sort of foster care.
And shouldn't the parents be held responsible for making the kids come here illegally?
Exactly.
They're here
Shame
illegally.
on them for bringing them.
You're breaking the law.
On such a dangerous trip.
Exactly. And you're breaking the law, and you're making your kids break the law.
I get the reason why. I get it because you have such a because where you're at, it's in turmoil. I get it.
If I put my kids in
I
jeopardy.
get it, but it's still.
If I put my own kids in jeopardy, what will happen? DCFS will come and take my children away from me because I've put my kids in jeopardy, and that's what's happening with these people. They're putting their children in jeopardy, and they should be taken away from them.
And that's the problem we're having. And then you're going to point at, this is your fault. It's my fault.
You're breaking up families. How dare you break up families from criminals?
I had the same thing happen.
The guy robbed a bank. He can't go back home to his children. No, he robbed a bank and we arrested him. He's in prison. That's the way it works. Don't rob a bank. You won't go to prison. You'll stay with your children. Don't come here illegally. Don't have a felony. You wouldn't be taken away from your children. Stay where you are. You still be with your children. That's just the way it is.
I agree. And it's wrong for us to just point the finger. And I love the people now say, this is ridiculous. I have kids. Just because you have kids, it's like, I understand. Oh yeah, because I want kids to be thrown in jail.
I know.
I want kids to be treated like this.
I hate that.
I had an argument with a guy about. I had a guy.
You don't have any children. You don't know it. You never were in the military. How could you have a opinion about it?
Yeah. I had an argument with a guy about gun control, and he went, well, you know what? Once you have kids, you understand. It's like, you're right, because I just want kids. I'm cool with kids.
Because everybody that had kids agrees with you.
Yeah.
And that's just not the way it is.
Yeah.
Because
then
I have kids and I don't agree with them.
It's unbelievable. It was very.
That's a way to just
shut you out.
You don't know what you're talking about. That's all they're saying. You don't know what you're talking about.
You're an idiot.
You don't have the experience that I have.
Yeah. I'm more experienced than you. You're a nothing.
My experience says
in fact,
if you knew what I knew, if you were smart enough, you know what they were calling the POS, you know, that everybody in America that voted for Trump, they're all POS. And I'm not going to
point of sales?
No.
I know. That's what they call the POS system, point of sale system.
I know.
In the restaurants.
But that's the disdain they have for the American people and those who they disagree with. Everybody's stupid. Everybody's dumb. Everybody's evil. I actually
saw somebody talk about it, and they were saying, "I can't believe." And this is somebody that was on Facebook that it was some wild association with. I don't know how it happened, but it came up, and they were talking and go, "I can't believe Ivanka's Jewish. We should just revoke that." It's like, excuse me. You're going to go after the person's faith now?
Because all Jewish
because they don't agree with you?
All Jewish people should believe what you believe.
It's not even that. It would be the same as Catholics. It would be the same as anything.
I know.
Because you're going to go after their faith, target their faith, because they don't agree with you. Because you're virtuous.
I agree with that.
Well, how about this? If you're so virtuous, why don't you open up your home? Bring the kids in and live with you. What are you doing? I don't mean to point at you in spite. Let me point at the camera. With you. I don't mean to. I'm having a conversation. I don't mean to point. I really am
I'm
not.
Okay with it, Jim.
No, I know.
I don't get excited.
No. But what are you guys doing? And that's the thing with you. That's what you got to tell these people. From now on, don't let them engage in this. Be like, you know what? You're just terrible. You voted for this guy. What are you doing to change it? You're just complaining. You're going out there. Well, I lobby for that. I go for this. You have done nothing.
I agree with you in the sense that now it's all, and that's what the whole thing about Trump is that anybody who voted for him is evil, and so we don't even have to listen to your opinion anymore. We don't need to even weigh what you think about what should happen because you're evil, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a misogynist, and it doesn't matter anymore what you think. So we should be able to do whatever we want because your opinions don't matter anymore. No. Doesn't matter.
We already know your true colors.
Yeah,
you're full of hate.
Yes.
You're full of hate.
I hate haters, Jim. That's what I love.
You're full of hate and we won't talk to you.
I hate haters. That's right.
Disgusting.
It is disgusting.
You have to address you know what? You also have to address these people. Just say, keep talking. Please. Spew your hatred.
How about this question? What does it, and it'll lead us into other things. What role does an appraisal play in a short sale?
Yeah. Is that the question you want to go with?
Yes. Unless you have a better one. It sounds like you might have a better one. Then come up with a better one. Don't tell me that.
No, it's a good idea.
We let the people know the process, Jim.
I know.
Okay, whatever. Let's do it.
Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy. Stephen has helped hundreds of Chicagoans recover from financial disaster, and he wants to help you and your family. There are resolutions, and you will hear about all those resolutions during today's informative discussion on the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560 The Answer. Now, here's your host, attorney Stephen Leahy. 'Cause I'm the tax man.
Here we are on Father's Day at AM 560 The Answer with Deborah Schreiner, Jim Leahy, and me, attorney Stephen Leahy, on the IRS Radio Hour. We're gonna do the next segment.
And now here's that man with a head just crammed full of knowledge, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Know-It-All, the segment where attorney Stephen Leahy gives us his infinite wisdom on all things taxes. And this time we're going to be talking a little bit about real estate taxes when it comes to the sense of appraisals.
A short sale.
A short sale.
That's right. And what role does an appraisal play in a short sale? And
that's a good question.
Yes, because I help people with short sales. short sale is sometimes the best way to get out of a foreclosure situation. What happened, and I have a lot of this where I help people in a foreclosure, and then nowadays, a lot of the foreclosures, they're not letting you get out of the deficiency judgment. Back in the day, in the heyday of these foreclosures, a lot of these companies weren't seeking deficiency judgments against people. And a deficiency judgment, remember, is the difference between what I owe the mortgage company and what they sell the house for at a auction. So that difference can be very large, $100,000 more. Okay. And then they can come after me personally for that money, for what that $100,000 or more. Uh-huh. And so sometimes that's sometimes the best way to protect yourself. And I write a lot about this. So on my blog. So if you look at the blog, you'll see how to avoid a deficiency judgment. And there's different ways you can go. But one of the things you can do is you can do a short sale. And oftentimes a short sale will waive that deficiency judgment. Again, the difference between what I sell it for and what I owe them. And by definition, a short sale is when the mortgage company agrees to take less for the property than you owe for the property. But what they do is they go out and they get an appraisal of the property, and that appraisal is really is really going to dictate what they'll agree to take. So right now I have a short sale going. We have a realtor in our network of realtors, and she has shown the property to more than 30 people. I think 50 people, and we've had 8 to 10 offers. And they were all in the same way. They've kind of crept up over the last 6 months. They've kind of gone up because it's been on a long time. But the mortgage company won't agree to a short sale. And they won't agree because they've got some guy went out and did an appraisal, and the appraisal is way out of line. And we can't get we keep telling them, take this is the best you're going to get. It's going on and on and on and on. Now, luckily, my client has been protected and is not going to face a deficiency judgment. So if the mortgage company does not agree to a short sale, my client's not going to be hurt either way. Yeah. So in my client's eyes, doesn't really matter who's going to lose. The mortgage company's going to lose. Course. And they keep. But
they already knew they were going to lose anyway, though.
Well, they're going to lose something, but they don't. But the longer they're holding this, see now, this is up in the North Shore. What are they going to lose? How about taxes? You're going to pay the taxes for the next year, and that's not a small number.
No.
So maybe I'll get $10,000 more. But if I'm paying $15,000 more in taxes, I've just lost $5,000 more, and I could have gotten rid of it early.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't have the holding costs and all this other stuff.
That's why it's so important to hit the market at the right price, and this is this is why it's so important.
Now, in the situation that I'm talking about here, really nothing you can do about it. We keep bringing in offers, and they're all in the same area. That must be the value.
That's the price. Yeah.
Because that's what people are willing to pay, right? A market price is what a willing buyer and a willing seller are willing to agree to a price. But if they have this outrageous opinion about what the value of the property is, and they won't ever agree to the actual value of the property.
Yes.
So it's a obstacle very hard to overcome. Same thing if I'm trying to buy a home and I go out and I get a mortgage company and they send out an appraiser. If the appraiser comes up and the value of the home is if they come up with a value much more than what
exactly.
I say actually. Anyway, it's really my loan is going to be based on what that appraisal is.
100%.
And if I don't get the right appraisal, if the right numbers don't come in, they're not going to give me my loan. This is
what's important, though, because I know you refer people to great mortgage companies.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be the Donald Trump, like beautiful, huge, great. But it's true, though.
It is.
To reputable
that's
mortgage,
right.
and I do, and that's the same thing with me as well. You have to trust your agent. Or your lawyer, or your attorney. You have to trust them because they are going to lead you to the
I'm going to say one more
land.
thing before we go on with this, and that's because one of the problems back in the collapse of the real estate market was because they weren't really they were sending out any appraiser, and the appraisers were coming up way too high.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so now they've corrected that, but I think they've gone the wrong way. The pendulum has swung the wrong way. Anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. That does answer my question because my particular situation, not really. No. If it is your particular situation, I was trying to do something there. It didn't. It didn't. I had to stop it before it got too wild. But if that's your particular situation, call Attorney Stephen Leahy and Open Tax Resolution 312-664-6649 or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. It's going to be your help to fight the IRS. We have a YouTube channel. Go on there, watch the videos. It's great content. It's going to answer a question or two. If you have it, if that's your particular situation, because we talk about a lot of things. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Open Tax Resolutions are for you. 312-664-6649. Now stay tuned because we're going to wrap the show up IRS Radio Hour style the only way we know how to, and that's to hit it right out of the park here on AM 560. The answer.
I thought you might say, wrap it up, IRS Radio Hour style, the only way we know how. Grilling like a villain on Father's Day.
I got caught up and I was...
Grilling and chilling.
I got caught up in something. That's great information. That's great because so many people... Facetious? No, because so many people, I've dealt with that with people. It's like, well, but my appraisal says it's...
I know.
Well, yeah, I understand.
That's the problem, is that different appraisals are going to come up with different... There shouldn't. Right, they should come up with about the same value, but that's not the way it works. You know, especially it depends on who's paying your bill.
I know.
And it's always the mortgage company, so they're always going to, it used to be that you can come up with your own appraisal, but now because the mortgage company is paying for the appraisals, they're going to be very
meticulous.
They're going to be very conservative on their side,
of course,
and that means I might not get the house.
These are high, because think of it. A loan for a home is still a high-risk loan. It's not as high as a business loan.
It's still a high-risk loan.
It's still a high-risk loan, and they need to make sure,
But it's not as high. It's not a high risk because it is secured. But that's why if they overvalue it, if they overvalue it and they make it hard for you to get the loan.
Well, this is why I've actually heard people say, don't buy homes, rent, because buying homes is...
I understand that.
The homes aren't for people; they're for banks.
And then, in my opinion, and who owns all the property? What do I always say about who owns the property around here in Cook County and Lake County? Yeah. The county owns it. You rent that property from them, and now the rent on that property has gone through the roof. And if you don't pay them, they take it away from you. So I don't know how much money you have. I put all that money in. They don't care how much money you put into it. You don't pay the property tax. They take the property away from you.
Bye.
And that's it. And you got nothing to say about it.
And it's just as simple as that.
It is just as simple as that.
And you can fight it in court, but they'll look at you every time and be like,
"No, you're gonna lose." That's what the rule. Yeah. That's what the law is. The law says they could take your property away from you if you don't pay your property tax. I got some people on the South Side, Jim. And they own their homes outright, but their taxes are so damn high. They can't afford the taxes.
Tell me about it. I have an absolutely beautiful home that I'm looking at over in Bannockburn for a client of mine. Bannockburn Riverwoods, beautiful. And the tax rate actually is pretty good for the price of the home. But at the end of the day,
I know.
At the end of the day,
it's a ton of money.
Look at that number, and that's what people are going to look at. And that's what you have to understand. People are going to look at that. That's why it's so hard.
Divided by 12. That's $2,000 a month in property taxes. Wow.
On top of your mortgage. On top of...
Before the mortgage.
Oh, yes. Because it does... Yeah, you're right.
You're first.
You're right. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
but
I know. I know.
But
I get it.
Then before your...
I know.
Electricity, before your water and gas, before your homeowners association
because remember,
fees,
if you don't pay it, they take it away.
If there is one.
Because if you don't pay it, no matter what you put in it, they take it away from you.
So you got to pay all those.
That's ours. Sorry. Again, on the South Side, where the homes aren't very valuable, their taxes are 5 to 10% of the value every year. So I got a home. I got a person, their home is worth like $90,000. They bought it for $35,000. They put some money into it, and they own it outright. Their taxes, their taxes are like $10,000 a year. That's more than 10% of what the value of the property is. That's ridiculous. And then they're behind, and now they want 18% interest to pay them back. It's unbelievable because we did a Chapter 13 to save the home because it was going to sale.
This is why it's so amazing. It's just.
We talked about Chapter 13 on this show.
We did talk about it
just recently.
But yes, you can go watch those videos. The more and more the show goes on, the more content-driven it's starting to become, and I'm starting to actually really get giddy about it. It's kind of giddy.
You are
giddy. If you watch my first couple of shows on here, I'm like, look at that. Funny joke. But now it's like, hey, let's get to the point. Listen, this is important that you tell people.
I agree with that. I don't agree that you were always, but sometimes you were. Sometimes you get caught up in your phone.
I know. I had to. Somebody asked me a question,
Not today. I'm not talking about today.
Oh yes,
okay.
yes.
Talking about back in the day.
Yes, and it was stupid. Yes, I agree.
There's a short musical interlude when you guys come back on this segment.
Okay. Good.
You're listening to the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy on AM 560, The Answer. Attorney Stephen Leahy brings his passion and expertise to your radio each and every week during the IRS Radio Hour. Tune in, take notes, and be educated. Learn your options resolving financial obstacles that face so many. And now, back to the IRS Radio Hour with your host, attorney Stephen Leahy.
Who's that, Debbie?
Deborah, I was as shocked as the time you yelled into the microphone that one time.
Who is that, Debbie?
That's called I Love You Daddy by Ricardo and Friends.
Ricardo, I think I've heard that song before, but Ricardo and Friends is something.
Happy Father's Day to you guys. Welcome back to the IRS Radio Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for tuning in. We had a great content-driven show today. Deborah Schreiner, best in the business. Best in the business.
Thanks, Jim.
Somebody older has to write those songs, because when kids are young and they're calling their kid, they never think about that. They love their daddy. I mean, they do love their daddy, but they don't say that kind of stuff. You should. Let's remember our dads.
And I'm remembering.
Call your dads today.
That's
right. If you don't live close by.
That's right. Exactly.
I'm remembering mine today.
And some of us have lost our father. I lost my father.
I understand. And I lost mine. But you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, I am thinking about him. I visited him today, so I feel good. That's all that matters.
Good.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying the show. Remember, we're not always going to answer your question because you're not asking the questions. Why aren't you asking the questions? You got to ask. You got to call Open Tax Resolution 312-664-6649. You got to go onto YouTube, Attorney Stephen Leahy, or the law office of Stephen A. Leahy, PC.
Stephen A. Leahy, too.
Stephen A. Leahy.
Google me.
Google it. Or DuckDuckGo. I used DuckDuckGo today, actually, to find Obama-era immigration policies because Google didn't give it to me.
Coming up.
Yep.
And that's what I got that conversation with that woman. That's why I don't like to use it anymore. They control they're controlling us. Don't be controlled.
That's right.
That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Facebook
I want to let
controls
you know
us too.
That I did a wonderful open house this weekend, 660 Prestwick Lane, Unit 207, beautiful condo, great views. Give me a call, 847-271-3695. Again, my name is Jim Leahy with At Properties. If you're interested in moving into beautiful Wheeling, great price at I believe $225.
That's good.
Give me a call.
Those are going.
I know they are.
So go out there and take a look at it, because those things are flying off the shelf.
Listen, if you're looking to buy or sell any property, you give me a call, Jim Leahy, 847-271-3695. Again, with At Properties. I want to help you out. I'm going to treat you like family. That's the truth. That's a Jim Leahy guarantee. I don't deal with a ton of people at a time. I deal with a certain amount of clients to make sure that I focus on your particular situation. So give me a call, because if I can't help you, I know somebody who can. And I know Attorney Stephen Leahy does the same.
Every time I hear you say that particular situation. I always think you're taking a dig at me because my kids always use that to take a dig at me because I always say that.
I'm not taking a dig at you. I like your Chicago
I think I had a commercial where I said that.
You did. Your particular it was very thick. It was very thick. I liked it.
Sometimes people tell me, "Hey, Steve, you have a Chicago accent."
You know what? That only proves to people that you're local.
Local is correct.
That's right.
Correct.
Stay local. Think local.
Buy local.
That's what he used. Attorney Stephen Leahy, 312-664-6649. Again, if you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give me a call, Jim Leahy.
Happy Father's Day.
271-3695, Jim Leahy with that property.
Join us next week.
We've given out numbers a million times. Join us next week. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you are having a wonderful Father's Day. So sit back, relax.
Join us at Joe Walsh's joint next Saturday.
Listen to other great programming that's going to be on this
Hot
station
dogs.
after us, okay? And remember, open text resolutions there for you. 312-664-6649 to visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com.
Fireworks.
It's going to be your hub. They'll fight the IRS. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We got great programming coming up after the show. And happy Father's Day here on AM 560.
The Answer.
We didn't talk a lot about the Cubs.
No, we didn't. That's all right.
Did you guys enjoy the musical interlude?
I did.
That
was great.
I've never
Now,
heard
that's
that.
something that you don't hear every day. That's what I like about it.
You know, Luther Vandross also has a nice song about something about dancing with his father. Do you know that song?
For a mother song? Tons of mother songs. Not a lot of father songs.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
That's true. Are you going to thank everyone for watching?
Did I? Oh.
Thank you so much for watching.
I didn't forget you. But I did. See, this is because I just hit myself. I hurt myself. Hit myself in the lip. Anyway, I do want to thank you for watching the show and listen. You can listen next on Sunday, and then next Friday, join us for our podcast on Facebook, and then our live show here. Coming up though, in July, we're going to have a week where I'm not here. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't told any of my people here.
In July?
In July. And also,
are you going on vacation?
We are going on vacation. We're going to Branson, Missouri.
Nice.
Yes, never been there. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I've never been there. I've heard it's nice, though.
It's very close to the Arkansas border. So I'm going to try to dart into the Arkansas so I can say I have been there before. I don't know what other reason I will ever have to go to Arkansas. So this is the one chance I have probably
for fun
to put it in my
It would be cool. It would be cool.
I have gone to many states. I haven't gone to this. I want to go to the northwest. I haven't been west. I haven't been to California.
I haven't either. I've never
so
been.
Like
the farthest west I've been is Iowa City.
Well, I've been to Nevada. I've been to. I think that's as far west as I've gone in Nevada.
Well, anyway, let's end the show the only way we know how to, which is for you to get up and turn it off. We hope you, we hope you enjoy. Remember, Attorney Stephen Leahy is there to help you. So give him a call. Tune into our show. Ask the questions that need to be answered, and he will answer them for you. 312-664-6649 and visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your family. I usually say tell your mothers, but this week tell your fathers to tune on in. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and we'll catch you next week.